In today's world, relationships often feel rushed, performative, or built on shallow excitement. There's a constant chase for spark, charm, and image, and sometimes, in that chase, the true essence of love gets lost. But every now and then, a woman meets someone who isn't trying to impress her. He's trying to understand her. He isn't trying to win her. He's trying to hold space for her. And often, that man is older, not just in years, but in presence, patience, and emotional depth. While youth often offers energy and excitement, experience brings something far rarer: wisdom, quiet strength, deep emotional safety. These are not things taught quickly. They are earned over time, through heartbreaks, healing, and learning what truly matters. And when a man carries that kind of experience into love, everything changes. He doesn't need chaos to feel alive. He doesn't confuse silence with distance. He doesn't make love a performance. He makes it a sanctuary. For many younger women, this feels like a breath of fresh air. Suddenly, they're not being rushed into intimacy. They're not being questioned for needing space. They are not trying to decode mixed signals or earn love through perfection. Instead, they are being listened to, respected, and truly seen, not just for their beauty or charm, but for their thoughts, their values, and their quiet struggles. Older men, the emotionally aware kind, know that love is not measured in grand declarations or social media captions. It's measured in the small, consistent moments: a hand held during silence, a calm voice during conflict, a deep breath instead of a raised one. These men don't chase attention. They protect peace. They don't fear a woman's strength. They celebrate it. And they don't fall in love with a version of her. They fall in love with all of her, even the messy, unsure, ever-growing parts. This isn't about age gaps or romanticizing older partners for the sake of it. It's about what experience teaches, about presence, communication, trust, and self-control. When a man has lived long enough to understand that love isn't something you control, but something you nurture, that's when he becomes the kind of partner who changes everything. So what exactly makes experienced love feel so different, so steady, and so unforgettable? What are the small things these men do that create such a deep impact? Not with flashy gestures, but with soul-level connection. Here are 14 ways experience outshines youth in love. And why? For many women, it's not the years that matter, but what those years have taught him. 1. Emotional maturity in difficult conversations. Emotional maturity in difficult conversations is one of the most powerful qualities that sets experienced men apart in relationships. When conflict arises, they don't react impulsively or defensively. Instead, they remain calm, listen fully, and respond with clarity. For a younger woman, this behavior can be deeply comforting. It shows that he is not trying to win an argument but genuinely trying to understand and resolve. Where younger partners may sometimes shut down, raise their voice, or get lost in ego, emotionally mature men stay grounded. They know how to pause before speaking. They choose words with care. Even when they disagree, they don't make it personal. They focus on the issue, not the individual. This type of presence makes younger women feel emotionally safe. They begin to trust that they can express feelings, even messy or confusing ones, without being judged or dismissed. Older men often have the ability to hold space for emotions they themselves don't share. They don't rush to fix, minimize, or compete. They simply sit with it, offer thoughtful insight when needed, and most importantly, validate how their partner feels. That kind of emotional steadiness is incredibly rare and magnetic. It also builds a deeper emotional connection. Younger women may have grown tired of relationships where emotions were misunderstood or weaponized. So, when they experience a mature man calmly saying, "Let's talk about this when you're ready," or "I hear you, let me think about that," it shifts everything. These small moments become reasons to trust, to open up, and eventually, to fall in love. Because emotional maturity isn't just about solving problems. It's about building emotional safety. And once a woman feels safe, she allows herself to love, not out of fear or loneliness, but from a place of deep, earned connection. 2. Deep listening without interrupting. Deep listening without interrupting is a quiet yet powerful way older men stand out in relationships. Unlike surface-level attention, deep listening means being fully present, not just hearing the words, but absorbing the meaning behind them. For many younger women, this is a new and healing experience. They may have been in conversations where their thoughts were cut off, redirected, or minimized. But when a man listens deeply, without rushing to respond or offer solutions, it creates space where she feels seen and heard, not just tolerated, but valued. Older men often have the patience and emotional intelligence to sit in silence without discomfort. They aren't just waiting for their turn to speak. They are focused on understanding. Their body language reflects this too. Steady eye contact, subtle nods, an occasional soft, "I understand." They let her finish her thoughts, even if there's a pause. And that pause, they respect it. They don't fill it with advice or their own stories. They wait. And that waiting becomes a sign of deep respect. This kind of presence creates a different rhythm in the relationship. Younger women often begin to feel that their voice finally matters, that their emotions don't need to be perfectly packaged to be taken seriously. And most importantly, that their partner isn't trying to fix them, just hold space for them. In a world that constantly interrupts, rushes, and talks over, deep listening is incredibly rare. It fosters intimacy, vulnerability, and trust. When a woman feels truly heard, she feels emotionally safe. And emotional safety leads to deeper connection, where love can grow naturally, without pressure. A man who listens deeply builds a bridge between two hearts, not through grand gestures, but through presence. And in that quiet, consistent presence, love finds a place to stay. 3. Prioritizing quality over constant validation. Prioritizing quality over constant validation is one of the subtle but powerful ways older men create lasting emotional impact. Unlike some younger partners who might rely on frequent compliments, likes on social media, or dramatic gestures to show interest, emotionally experienced men understand that love isn't proven through noise, it's shown through depth. For them, it's not about saying you're beautiful 100 times a day. It's about saying it when it truly matters, and backing it up with consistent action. Younger women often find this refreshing. In a world where many chase attention and approval, a man who values meaningful connection over surface-level flattery stands out. He doesn't validate just to keep someone around. Instead, he observes, learns, and offers genuine appreciation, not just for looks, but for values, thoughts, and choices. When he speaks, it's not to impress, it's to connect. His attention feels earned, not handed out. And because of that, it means more. He may not comment on every outfit or text dozens of heart emojis a day, but he'll notice when she's tired. He'll ask about her dreams. He'll listen to her fears. And when he praises her, it's with purpose. "You handled that so well," or "I'm proud of how you stood up for yourself." These kinds of statements carry weight because they reflect real connection, not just empty validation. For a younger woman, this creates a sense of emotional grounding. She doesn't feel like she has to perform to keep his interest. She's not being measured by how many selfies she sends or how quickly she replies. Instead, she feels respected and valued for who she is, in silence, in chaos, and in growth. That kind of deep, quiet love gives her the freedom to be herself without fear of losing affection. By prioritizing depth over display, older men show that love isn't about proving, it's about being present. And that kind of presence becomes a safe space where younger women can relax, trust, and truly fall in love. 4. Knowing how to lead without controlling. Knowing how to lead without controlling is a trait that truly distinguishes mature, emotionally grounded men, and it's one of the reasons younger women often feel drawn to them. Leadership in a relationship doesn't mean dominance or control. It means offering direction, stability, and calm during moments of uncertainty, without ever making the other person feel small, restricted, or powerless. Older men with life experience understand that real leadership is rooted in mutual respect. They are not threatened by a woman's independence or strength. In fact, they welcome it. They don't lead by demanding or dictating. They lead by example. Whether it's planning a trip, managing a crisis, or navigating a disagreement, they step in with clarity and confidence. They make decisions thoughtfully, invite collaboration, and always consider how their choices impact their partner. For younger women who've experienced controlling or insecure partners in the past, this kind of energy feels like relief. There's no manipulation, no games, no keeping score, just a steady presence that says, "I've got this, and I've got you." That feeling of emotional security is rare. He doesn't ask her to shrink so he can shine. Instead, he creates space for her to grow and walks beside her, not ahead. Even in moments of conflict, he doesn't resort to threats or emotional withdrawal. He knows how to take responsibility, guide the conversation, and de-escalate tension without turning it into a power struggle. His leadership isn't loud. It's in the quiet choices, opening the door, making her feel safe walking home, stepping in calmly when things go wrong, being the one who says, "Let's figure this out." And yet, she never feels controlled. She feels supported. That balance of strength without force, presence without pressure, is what earns trust. A younger woman who feels free and guided at the same time is far more likely to fall deeply. Because in a world full of noise and ego, a man who leads with calm strength and unwavering respect becomes unforgettable. 5. Patience during emotional ups and downs. Patience during emotional ups and downs is one of the most comforting qualities an older man can bring into a relationship, and it often becomes the reason a younger woman falls in love with him. Everyone has difficult days, shifting moods, or moments of emotional overwhelm. But how a partner responds during those moments can make or break the emotional safety of a relationship. Older men, often shaped by years of experience, understand that emotions are not problems to be fixed. They are waves to be respected. When a younger woman is upset, anxious, or unsure, he doesn't panic. He doesn't label her as too much or too sensitive. Instead, he offers quiet support. He gives her space if she needs it, or simply sits beside her if she doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't ask her to calm down immediately, nor does he demand logic in a moment ruled by emotion. This kind of patience becomes a safe harbor. Younger women who may have been told to stop overreacting or just get over it in the past often feel a deep emotional shift when they're with someone who doesn't judge them for being human. He allows the storm to pass. He understands that healing, expression, and vulnerability don't follow a schedule, and that love isn't about timing emotions perfectly, but standing by someone through them. Instead of shutting down or becoming defensive, he might say things like, "Take your time," or "I'm here when you're ready." He listens without rushing to fix. He holds her without needing her to change. That level of emotional patience builds trust slowly, and that trust deepens connection. A woman begins to realize she can be her full self, not just the cheerful, composed version, and still be loved. In a world that often demands quick emotional recovery, his ability to wait, to understand, and to stay becomes extraordinary. Over time, that patience doesn't just comfort her. It changes her. It teaches her what true support feels like. And that feeling, it turns into love that feels both freeing and deeply rooted. 6. Expressing affection without pressure. Expressing affection without pressure is one of the most disarming and emotionally safe qualities older men often bring into a relationship. For many younger women, affection has been tied to expectation, a compliment followed by a demand, a sweet moment shadowed by a hidden motive. But when a man shows genuine affection without wanting anything in return, it creates a completely different emotional experience, one built on safety, trust, and comfort. Older men tend to understand the value of presence over performance. When they express affection, it's not transactional. A gentle touch, a warm smile, a simple "I'm thinking about you." These gestures come with no strings attached. He isn't looking to push boundaries or escalate situations. He's simply being honest with how he feels. And that honesty, when delivered with emotional maturity and patience, becomes incredibly attractive. Younger women often feel relieved in this kind of dynamic. They are not being pressured to reciprocate affection before they are ready. They don't feel like they are being tested to see how far they'll go. Instead, they are allowed to receive kindness freely and respond in their own time. This freedom creates space for emotional connection to build naturally, without the fear of being cornered or rushed. He may hold a hand during a quiet walk, without expecting it to lead somewhere else. He might send a thoughtful message at night, not to start a conversation, but simply to let her know he cares. These moments show that his affection isn't about control, it's about consistency. He's not looking for a reward, he's offering reassurance. This kind of affection, when repeated over time, slowly melts away emotional defenses. A younger woman starts to realize that she doesn't have to guard her heart so tightly. She can open up, not because she's being chased, but because she's being respected. And in that respect, she finds something rare, love that doesn't push or pull, it simply stays. Affection without pressure is quiet, but its impact is lasting. It tells her, you're valued just as you are. And once she believes that, falling in love doesn't feel like a risk anymore. It feels like peace. 7. Offering stability instead of unpredictability. Offering stability instead of unpredictability is one of the clearest ways older men stand apart in love. And it's often the reason younger women feel safe enough to fall deeply. In a world filled with mixed signals, ghosting, on-again, off-again relationships, and emotional games, stability becomes a quiet but powerful form of attraction. It isn't flashy, and it doesn't demand attention, but it creates something far more valuable: trust. Older men often bring a sense of calm to a relationship. They are not chasing excitement through chaos or trying to keep someone interested by being mysterious or inconsistent. Instead, they show up, on time, in spirit, and in action. They follow through on their promises. They are clear about their intentions. If they say they'll call, they call. If they say they care, their actions reflect it. And over time, this reliability becomes magnetic. For younger women who may have experienced relationships that felt like emotional roller coasters, this kind of grounded presence is a breath of fresh air. There's no guessing where she stands. No waking up wondering if he's changed his mind overnight. Stability doesn't mean boring. It means she can relax. It means she can build something, because the foundation doesn't shake with every passing emotion. This sense of predictability doesn't make love less passionate. It makes it deeper. She begins to associate his presence with safety. She trusts that he won't disappear when things get hard or act distant just to regain control. And that consistency allows her to open up in ways she never could before. Stability also shows up in the way he handles challenges. He doesn't create unnecessary drama. He diffuses it. He's not reactive, he's reflective. Even when things get tense, he doesn't lash out. He pauses, listens, and responds with care. That emotional steadiness becomes the rock in the relationship, the calm in the storm. In the end, offering stability isn't about removing all surprises. It's about removing fear. When a woman no longer fears being abandoned, confused, or manipulated, love finally has room to grow freely. And that's when the connection becomes real and lasting. 8. Valuing emotional connection over superficial charm. Valuing emotional connection over superficial charm is one of the most meaningful differences that sets older men apart, and it often becomes the reason a younger woman chooses to stay, trust, and fall in love. While charm may attract attention at first, it's emotional connection that builds something real, something lasting. And mature men understand this deeply. They know that surface-level attraction fades, but true emotional intimacy creates bonds that endure. Unlike younger men who may focus on witty lines, perfect appearances, or being the life of the party, older men often look beyond the surface. They want to know how she thinks, what she fears, what brings her peace. They ask deeper questions, not to impress, but to understand. They listen to her dreams, her doubts, her childhood stories, and they remember the details. That emotional attentiveness makes her feel chosen, not just for her beauty or her energy, but for her soul. This kind of depth is especially powerful for younger women who are used to short-term attention that fades quickly. When someone takes the time to build connection beneath the surface, it sends a quiet but powerful message. I'm here for the real you. That's disarming. It creates trust. It shifts the relationship from performance to presence, from attraction to alignment. Older men don't just compliment how she looks. They notice how she thinks. They praise how she handles difficult situations, how she speaks with compassion, how she holds her boundaries. And that kind of recognition leaves a lasting impression. Because while anyone can say you're beautiful, few take the time to understand what makes someone beautiful on the inside. By valuing emotional connection, these men build relationships that feel safe, honest, and nourishing. There's no need to impress constantly. She can just be herself, raw, unfiltered, unedited. And in that comfort, she finds the freedom to love fully. In a world chasing shallow sparks, emotional depth becomes rare. And when she finds a man who sees her beyond the charm, who values her mind, her emotions, and her inner world, she doesn't just feel loved. She feels known. And that's where true love begins. 9. Clear communication of intentions. Clear communication of intentions is a trait that immediately sets older, emotionally grounded men apart, and it's one of the most reassuring things for a younger woman who may be tired of guessing where she stands. In a dating world often clouded by vague texts, mixed signals, and emotional avoidance, a man who speaks with clarity and purpose becomes not just refreshing, but deeply trustworthy. Older men typically know what they want. They're not playing games to keep someone interested or using confusion as a tool to maintain power. If they like someone, they say it. If they are looking for something serious, they express that from the beginning. Their words match their actions, and their actions leave no room for doubt. This kind of transparency builds a foundation of honesty that a younger woman can relax into. Instead of the classic, "We'll see where this goes," he might say, "I'm not here to waste your time." That simple sentence can change everything. It eliminates anxiety. It signals maturity. It shows that he respects not just his own emotions, but hers too. He doesn't lead her on or keep her guessing. And in doing so, he builds emotional safety, the very thing most younger women are secretly searching for. This kind of man will clarify plans instead of canceling last minute. He won't disappear for days and then act like nothing happened. He communicates consistently, checks in thoughtfully, and doesn't shy away from difficult conversations. Whether it's defining the relationship, discussing future plans, or expressing concerns, he does so with steadiness and care. For a younger woman, this creates a powerful shift. She no longer feels like she has to decode texts, analyze tone, or wonder if she's asking for too much. She begins to feel that her emotions are not a burden, they are respected. And in that clarity, she finds freedom to be open, honest, and vulnerable in return. In the end, clear communication isn't just a skill, it's a form of love. It says, "I respect you enough to be honest with you." And when a woman hears that, not in words, but in consistent behavior, she feels safe to give her heart. Not out of hope, but out of trust. 10. Understanding love beyond physical attraction. Understanding love beyond physical attraction is a profound quality that many older men embody, and it's often what makes a younger woman feel truly valued for the first time. While physical attraction may spark initial interest, it's never enough to sustain a meaningful connection. Mature men know this. They've lived long enough to see that beauty fades, appearances change, and charm alone doesn't build a life together. What lasts is connection, kindness, shared values, and emotional depth. Older men tend to look at love with a wider lens. They don't fall for someone just because of how she looks in a dress or how many compliments she receives. They fall for the way she speaks about her passions, the way she holds her ground during conflict, the way she cares for others when no one's watching. And they express their love in ways that have nothing to do with appearance, like remembering how she takes her coffee or checking in when she's had a hard day. This emotional awareness becomes incredibly powerful for younger women who are often objectified or made to feel like their value depends on their looks. When a man sees beyond the surface and stays It tells her she is more than her beauty, that she is loved for her mind, her strength, her essence. That's the kind of love that heals, and that's the kind of love that grows. He might say, "I admire how you handled that situation," or "I love your sense of perspective." These compliments go deeper than appearance. They reach the soul, and because they are rooted in observation and truth, they leave a lasting emotional imprint. She no longer feels the pressure to impress. She feels the freedom to simply be. Understanding love beyond physical attraction doesn't mean physical affection disappears. It means affection is laid, supported by emotional presence, intellectual admiration, and mutual respect. The relationship becomes a safe space where she's not just looked at, she's understood. In the end, when a man's love is rooted in who she is, not just how she looks, it creates a depth that beauty alone can't hold. And in that depth, real love begins to bloom. Quietly, powerfully, permanently. 11. Respecting boundaries and space. Respecting boundaries and space is one of the most powerful ways older men make younger women feel safe, respected, and truly seen. In relationships, emotional and physical boundaries are essential. They define what feels comfortable, what feels right, and what protects one's sense of self. Unfortunately, many younger women have experienced partners who push limits, guilt-trip them for needing space, or take silence as rejection. But an older, emotionally mature man approaches boundaries very differently, not as a challenge, but as a form of care. He doesn't take it personally when she asks for time to herself. He understands that needing space doesn't mean a lack of love. It often means needing time to think, rest, or reset emotionally. Instead of reacting with insecurity or pressure, he responds with patience. He might say, "Take the time you need. I'm here when you're ready." That one sentence can feel like a breath of fresh air to someone used to feeling smothered or misunderstood. Older men have often learned, through life experience, that love is not control. It's not about constant access or demanding emotional availability on command. True connection comes when both people feel free to express their needs, and when those needs are honored without drama. Whether she's setting a boundary in conversation, physical affection, or decision-making, he listens without becoming defensive. He respects that boundary not just because he has to, but because he genuinely wants her to feel safe and in control of her own choices. This level of respect creates a powerful emotional environment. A younger woman starts to trust that she won't be punished for saying "not now" or "I need some time." She begins to relax into the relationship, knowing she won't be forced to explain herself over and over. And when she feels safe, she opens up more, not less. Because respect is what allows love to grow without fear. Ultimately, respecting boundaries isn't just about doing the right thing, it's about honoring her humanity. And when a man does that consistently, it builds a love rooted not in control, but in care. And that's the kind of love that lasts. 12. Choosing consistency over dramatic highs. Choosing consistency over dramatic highs is a trait that defines emotional maturity, and it's often the quiet reason younger women fall deeply in love with older men. In many modern relationships, there's a chase for intense moments. The late-night confessions, the passionate fights, the emotional roller coasters that feel like love because they are loud. But over time, those highs come with painful lows. What once felt thrilling begins to feel unstable. And that's where consistency becomes the rarest and most comforting gift. Older men often move away from the need for chaos. They're not chasing adrenaline or drama to feel alive. Instead, they show up every day with steady, grounded love. They don't disappear and reappear to test her patience. They don't make her question where she stands. They text when they say they will. They keep their word, follow through on promises, and treat her with kindness, not just on special days, but in the everyday. This emotional steadiness might feel unfamiliar at first to a woman who's used to intensity being confused for connection. But over time, she realizes something profound. She doesn't have to earn his love over and over. She doesn't have to perform to keep his attention. His affection isn't conditional on drama. It's consistent. And that consistency becomes her emotional anchor. It's in the way he checks in without needing a reason. The way he plans ahead so she doesn't feel forgotten. The way he supports her during hard times without making it about himself. With him, there's no guessing game, only quiet reliability. And as the relationship grows, that becomes the most powerful form of romance. In a world obsessed with emotional highs, consistency might seem simple, but it's anything but boring. It's the kind of love that makes her feel safe enough to be her full self. It doesn't wane fast and fade. It glows steadily, lighting up the parts of her that no one else ever noticed. And in that warmth, she realizes, this isn't just love. This is home. 18. Protecting peace rather than chasing attention. Protecting peace rather than chasing attention is one of the most defining qualities of emotionally mature love, and a major reason younger women often feel drawn to older men. In a world where so many people crave validation through loud gestures, public displays, or constant approval, choosing peace becomes an act of emotional strength. Older men have often outgrown the need to prove themselves to the world or to their partner. They no longer seek love through drama, jealousy, or social media games. Instead, they value calm over chaos, depth over noise, and presence over performance. For a younger woman, this is both surprising and healing. She doesn't feel like she's being pulled into emotional battles just to feel loved. She's not dragged into constant highs and lows that exhaust her more than they connect her. Instead, she finds herself in the presence of someone who doesn't need to be the center of attention, because he knows the center of love is quiet, steady, and private. He doesn't start arguments to test her loyalty. He doesn't post curated moments online to gain admiration. He's not threatened by her independence, nor does he stir tension just to feel significant. Instead, he protects the peace they've built by listening more, reacting less, and handling misunderstandings with grace. He knows that true connection grows in stillness, in the way he handles disappointment, the way he gives her space, and the way he makes home feel like a safe haven rather than a stage. This kind of peace is magnetic. It allows her nervous system to relax. It tells her she's not in a competition, not with his past, not with his phone, not with anyone else. She starts to feel like love can be calm and still be powerful, that she doesn't have to fight for affection or earn her place daily. He makes her feel chosen, quietly but completely. In choosing peace over attention, he offers her something rare, the freedom to just be. And in that freedom, love doesn't just grow, it flourishes. Gently, safely, endlessly. 14. Being secure enough to celebrate their partner's growth. Being secure enough to celebrate their partner's growth is one of the most quietly powerful qualities older men bring into relationships, and it's often what makes a younger woman feel safe to expand, evolve, and truly become who she is meant to be. In many relationships, especially with insecure or immature partners, growth can trigger fear, jealousy, or control. A promotion, a new passion, a shift in confidence. Instead of being celebrated, it's seen as a threat. But an emotionally secure man sees it differently. He doesn't lose himself in her growth. He stands beside it, proud, steady, and supportive. Older men, shaped by life and self-awareness, understand that love doesn't mean staying the same. It means encouraging one another to grow, and still choosing each other through every change. So when she starts something new, goes back to school, changes careers, explores a dream, he doesn't shrink back or guilt her into slowing down. He cheers her on, not with possessiveness, but with pride. He doesn't say, "Why are you changing?" He says, "Look how far you've come." For a younger woman, this becomes a breakthrough. She's not walking on eggshells, afraid of outshining her partner. She's not dimming herself to keep the peace. Instead, she feels like her wins are their wins. Her evolution doesn't push him away, it draws him closer, because he's confident in his place beside her, not threatened by her becoming more. He asks about her goals, encourages her ideas, and genuinely enjoys seeing her shine. He's not in a silent competition. He's her witness, someone who sees her, honors her progress, and helps her rise even higher. That kind of emotional support builds something deeper than romance. It builds respect. And from respect, True love grows. In the end, being secure enough to celebrate his partner's growth isn't about grand gestures. It's about the quiet, consistent choice to say, I see you, I'm proud of you, and I'm right here, not to hold you back, but to lift you up. And for a woman ready to become her full self, there's no greater kind of love.